I don't know, I'm just guessing. It's been on
No names, buddy.
for a few seconds.
Okay, it is now officially 6 o'clock by AT&T, and we will have no presentations, but we do have a proclamation later on. So I'll open the meeting, ask everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, thank you so much for this day that you've given to us. Thank you for everyone that's come out tonight. Please watch over each one of us and keep all our public works safe tonight with this storm coming in. Please keep all our people safe. Please, and thank you so much for, please give us the wisdom that we need to make the decisions tonight. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I call the meeting to order, and in showing the roll call, we have one commissioner absent, Commissioner Mark Banks, tonight. You have before you the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? If not, I entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda. Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimous. We have a proclamation tonight, and I'm going to ask Lauren Gregory to come up and say a couple words. We're going to declare this month Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you again. My name is Lauren Gregory. You saw me last April. You'll probably see me next April. Every April, you are so kind to have us here to celebrate Child Abuse Prevention Month. For those of you who don't know, I always love when it's a packed room. I know people always come for us. I'm with a Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center. We're a nonprofit that serves kids and teens in our community when there's concerns they've experienced abuse. So we work with law enforcement, DFACS, counseling, medical, prosecution to make sure kids are protected, supported, and have what they need to heal after they've experienced abuse. But we also celebrate child abuse prevention because we know that child abuse can be prevented. We obviously support kids once it happens, but we also work to prevent it from ever happening so that our kids can have the bright, healthy futures they deserve. You may have seen on your way in the beautiful pinwheel display. We're so excited that this year we get to have it right here on the historic courthouse lawn. So those pinwheels will be up all April long to celebrate Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we're grateful for all of you for letting us do that. And we just encourage everyone to do whatever you can to check on the kids in your life. Just being that safe, supportive adult that a child can talk to is really protective. So that's one easy thing everybody can do to keep kids safe this year. I've given you all a packet with a lot more information, but really that's the gist of it. We just thank you for being a supportive community so that kids who grow up here can have safe, healthy childhoods. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, in honor of this, I will read the proclamation. It's by the Walton County Board of Commissioners of Georgia, a proclamation, Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas, children are our most valuable resource, and they are also our most vulnerable. All of Georgia's children have a right to be safe and an opportunity to thrive, learn, and grow in an environment that fosters healthy development. And whereas child abuse and neglect can be prevented by supporting and strengthening Georgia's families, thus preventing the far-reaching effects of maltreatment, and providing the opportunity for children to develop healthy, trusting family bonds, and consequently building the foundations of communities. And whereas positive childhood experiences like loving caregivers and safe, stable, and nurturing relationships can help mitigate trauma and the negative impact of adverse childhood experiences to promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created within communities among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business sector, inspiring action from expected and unexpected partners in prevention. And whereas by providing a safe, stable, and nurturing environment for our children, free of violence, abuse, and neglect, we can ensure that Georgia's children will grow to their full potential as the next generation of leaders, helping to secure the future of this state and nation. Now, therefore, I, David Thompson, Chairman of the Walton County Board of Commissioners in the state of Georgia, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Walton County in the state of Georgia. And you come forward and get your proclamation, we'll be glad to present it to you.
Thank you.
Everybody come. Politicians always take a picture.
All right. We like to worship. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Thank you.
And as this group can tell you, if you even suspect a child's being abused, call our sheriff's department, call your local agencies, because there's no excuse for that. So with that being said, we will move to the most exciting part of our board meetings, and that's the Planning Commission recommendations.
Okay, our first case is recommendation for denial of conditional use 24010022. This is conditional use for a place of worship. Applicant is Princess Arias, and the owner is Carla Arias. Property is located at 4965 Donald Drive. This is in District 2. The applicant would like to use this property as a place of worship on Sunday, and then on Fridays they offer counseling for families and youth. They want to build a 7,000 square foot addition on the property. There was opposition from the neighborhood, their main concerns being traffic, with this being a one-way in and one-way out residential road. And then I think the church has had some celebrations there, and they were concerned about the noise, and therefore they recommended denial.
Okay. All right, I'm going to open a public hearing on this, very similar to what the Planning Commission did. And I'm going to ask the proponents of this application if they would come first and tell us what they have planned and what they would like to do. And like the proponents, tongue-tied, the proponents and the opposition, let's not repeat the same reasons over and over. We as a board get it, and but please, the representative from the applicant, please come forward and tell us what you want to do.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners and community present here today. My name is Princess Arias. I realized that in our initial meeting, I did not quite fully introduce myself. I'm 24 years old. I hold an associate's degree in business administration, a bachelor's in biology, and I'm currently pursuing a master's degree in clinical mental health to become a licensed therapist in the state of Georgia. I am a leader at FCG Church, and I'm passionate for Jesus. He restored my family, He healed my heart, and He gave me purpose. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to address to you once again on behalf of my family and advocate for our project to establish a house of prayer at 4965 Donald Drive. Our property spans a total of 13 acres with 6.61 acres located in Walton County and the remainder in the Gwinnett County. It's important to clarify that our construction project for the house of prayer is solely intended for the land in Walton County. Any future developments in Gwinnett County will be addressed separately in accordance with their specific regulations and processes. Reflecting on our initial meeting, I acknowledge that we were not fully prepared for the discussions and feedbacks received from certain community members. Today, however, I stand before you with not only faith, but works. Over the past month, myself and other church leaders have carefully considered every point that was previously addressed in the meeting, and it's crucial for you to understand that we genuinely are invested in the well-being of everyone involved. Our purpose is not to disrupt the community or create enemies. On the contrary, our intentions are rooted in goodness, purity, and selflessness. In the past month, I, along with other leaders and youth from our congregation, reached out to our neighbors with peace offerings prepared by our youth. We engaged with several families and explained to them our project. Some were very kind and polite, and others did not even allow us to speak. It has come to our attention that some neighbors have misconceptions about our intentions. Many of our neighbors had a wrong concept of what was going to be built. Some of them were told that we were lying to the county and we're not building a church but an event venue. Others were told we already had services there and now have come to the county because of certain complaints. For this reason, we want to clarify that we are a Christian family dedicated to serving Jesus in the community. We are not an event venue. We are not a commercial business. We are not a campsite, and we're definitely not a nightclub. Our mission is to spread the teachings of Jesus and make disciples of all nations as instructed in Matthew 28:19-20. Our vision is to create a house of prayer and worship, and not for our personal gain, but to fulfill our mission here on earth. This is our vision. This is the purpose we're here on earth. Our mission is not to accumulate wealth and material possessions, but to focus on our eternal home that is in heaven. Sometimes we become too self-centered, only seeking our own needs in prayer, neglecting the teachings of Jesus. We must recognize those who are struggling emotionally and turning to addictions to fill the void that only Jesus Christ can fill. He has instructed us to spread His word everywhere. We respect and we will comply with the laws and regulations, but want you to please know that our intention is to create a house of prayer and worship and not to engage in any activities that may have been misinterpreted from some of the residents. I know I'm not here to preach to you, and for that reason, I would like to discuss each issue that was the community's concern that was brought in the past meeting. First is the concern about the sound. We know that on July 4th, we held a gathering to celebrate the purchase of the land and to bless our country. This event included a cookout, worship, praise music, and some fireworks towards the end of the night. We simply celebrated. We had a good time in family. There was no alcohol, no crazy partying, simply bonding in family. Additionally, on September 1st of last year, we hosted a youth retreat where around 60 youth camped outside. They received spiritual teachings and engaged in various activities with parental consent. Their parents signed a permission slip for this to be allowed. On the first night, Friday, we had a team who welcomed the youth. They placed the banner on our land, and they had a horn to celebrate each time a youth would arrive. Additionally, we set up speakers with our worship team to lead praise and worship in one of the structures that was already built there previously. Unfortunately, we did not take into consideration the music, that it would bounce off the structures since they're metal walls. The worship session lasted 17 minutes to be exact, and we have the video that was it was live through Facebook. It was 17 minutes to be exact. 10 minutes into the teaching, we were told that the police came by. They said to lower the volume, and we had until 11 p.m. to have noise. We did not want to cause any more disruptions, so we totally disconnected the speakers, and I continued teaching with no microphone and no speakers. Apart from the spiritual teachings, we also had activities on Saturday. They played soccer, the youth played soccer, kickball, and some obstacle course games that we prepared for them. That night, we had an acoustic worship with an acoustic guitar. There was no speakers in that time. And on Sunday morning, we had one more teaching, and then everyone went home. I can testify that the youth were touched and they received their identity during this weekend. And that same weekend, on September the 3rd, it was a Sunday, we received news, and it was in Gwinnett, in the Gwinnett area. And I have the police report too, where that same day, 5 youth died in a car accident at 4 a.m. because they escaped their home during the night. And this is what is going on in the world, and this is what hurts us, what brings to us compassion. And that's why we hosted this youth retreat that weekend. I know that we did cause some disturbance that night. We are aware, and we acknowledge the impact of the noise on our neighbors, and once again sincerely apologize for any inconvenience that was caused. To prevent future disturbances, we have a sound engineer here today who is going to explain our plan to minimize the sound disruptions to our neighbors. We are committed to ensuring that such incidents do not occur again, and appreciate the understanding and patience of our community members. Community members, a house of prayer represents more than just a physical structure. It embodies hope, peace, and inclusivity. It serves as a sanctuary where individuals can find strength and connection to something greater than themselves. Unfortunately, like I said, there seems to be misinformation circulating in our community. A petition has been signed claiming that we intend to commercialize the street, sell our services, and construct an events venue. This is not accurate. The petition also suggests that we are rezoning our land and converting a home on the Gwinnett side into a youth center. This is also not accurate. In reality, the interior of the home in the Gwinnett area has not been remodeled for such purpose. We have made improvements, such as adding an above-ground pool and extending the existing deck to connect with the pool, which we are currently in the process of obtaining permits from the Gwinnett County, which we anticipate will be finalized by next month. It is clear that our community and residents have not been adequately informed about our intentions. Allow me to please clarify our project. We aim to build a house of prayer to provide a safe haven for our residents, the youth, the children, and our church family. Our goal is to enhance the beauty of the area, maintain the land, and ensure the landscape is well kept. The aesthetic of the building will positively impact our neighborhood. Some residents have expressed concerns about potential decreases in property values. However, there is no evidence to support this claim. In fact, having a house of prayer nearby has the potential to increase property values. According to several articles that I researched, I read, 7 things that can hurt one property's values are neglected maintenance, outdated kitchens and bathrooms, bad or ugly landscaping, frail or damaged roof, I mentioned that registered sex offenders in the area, zombie homes, which are homes that are left vacant, and bad neighbors. As a result, with all confidence, I can say that building a house of prayer will contribute to the improvement of our neighborhood and not negatively affect it. Finally, I would like to please share the following statistics according to the CDC. In 2021, more than 4 in 10 students felt persistently sad or hopeless, and nearly 1/3 experienced poor mental health. More than 1 in 5 students seriously considered attempting suicide, and 1 in 10 attempted suicide. Compared with urban counterparts, rural Americans have a higher rate of depression. And suicide rates of people living in rural counties are 64 to 68% higher than those living in urban areas. This was 2021, and these numbers have increased since then. In the light of concerning statistics shared by the CDC regarding mental health issues among students and rural Americans, it is evident that creating a supportive and peaceful environment like a house of prayer is crucial for our community's well-being. Let us please work together to dispel any misunderstanding and move forward with our shared vision for a better and more connected community. Additionally, we are aware that there are concerns with traffic, and I will now pass the microphone to Jose Laya, who will address this issue.
Thank you. Good evening, esteemed members of the Board of Commissioners. My name is Jose Laya. I'm honored to stand before you today as a representative of FCG Church. At 27 years old, I serve both as a youth leader and the sound technician at our church. I want to express my gratitude for your attention and the presence to everybody gathered here today. Your presence shows the care and the concern that each one of us has for our neighborhood, and I want to assure you that we share the same sentiment. It is crucial for me to emphasize that our intentions extend beyond our benefit and conform. We are deeply committed to the well-being of all the members of the community. Following our previous meeting, one of the primary concerns raised was regarding about the traffic control. In response to this, we have engaged with the fire marshal and the sheriff department of the county of Walton County to develop a comprehensive traffic control plan that will benefit all stakeholders and promote peace within our community. After speaking to our neighbors, we discovered that there was already an existing concern regarding the high volume and speed of traffic on Thompson Drive. This one being the street that you turn into Donald Drive. This concern was there prior to our arrival, and this could be for many reasons. One of them being that the city of Loganville and the county of Walton is growing, we like it or not. There are many constructions going around the area, and the repaving and painting of these streets have led to the increased traffic flow and speed. We are committed to avoiding any further disruptions to the street, and we believe that by implementing a strategic plan and enlisting off-duty police officers, we can actually help restore the order to the street and enhance the existing traffic patterns. Our proposal entails hosting a Sunday service only on Sundays. This service will be between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. This means that our peak traffic hours will be limited to 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and then to 3 to 4 p.m. Our plan includes provision for traffic control, the presence of off-duty police officers, designated parking spaces, precise timing, and ongoing communication with the community to address concerns effectively. After consulting with the sheriff department, who were gracious in providing us the rates for the off-duty police officers, we can confidently state that this is a resolution to the traffic issue on Donald Drive. We have spoke with the sheriff department, and they said that it's common for them. They host several events during the year, and they had established some rates that, for my understanding, the commissioners, you guys already have known about that. Also, the Planning and Development Department they are aware of these rates. And how do they work when there is an event, or how do they work when there's churches going on? Nevertheless, our commitment extends beyond Donald Drive and Thompson Drive. With the presence of this witness today, we pledge to uphold our promise and take responsibility for employing police officers and assist in traffic control. To address this concern further, we are specifically discussing the potential traffic on Sundays only, during the hours between 10:30 and 11:30 a.m., and then 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is not an everyday deal or all-day deal. This is only on Sundays for this period of 5 hours. We anticipate about 80 cars arriving at staggered times rather than all at once. It is important to clarify that we are not expecting a large volumes of vehicles. Rest assured, we will not use our neighbors' land for parking. we will implement designated parking spaces, and we will provide this on our own property. We'll have proper entry and exit points, and we will establish those points for the convenience of safety. Sundays, this is for the information received by the Sheriff Department. Sundays are considered to have minimal traffic compared to other days of the week, particularly during the hours between 6:30 and 9 a.m. Those are the rush hours that we get on the highways, and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., specifically on Highway 20 and Highway 81, which are the closest highways to our land. We acknowledge that on March 3, 2023, there was an emergency in our community, and the emergency vehicles, they blocked the streets. In this situation, we understand the importance of being respectful and cooperate. We are not individuals who act disrespectfully or negligently. We value God's children. We love our neighbors, and in the event of an emergency, we are committed to complying with the necessary measures. Furthermore, with off-duty police officers present on site, we trust in their ability to maintain order and effectively in such circumstances. We consulted with the fire marshal, who attended to the previous meeting as well, and he found no issues in our proposal and stated that constructing a half-house prayer for our congregation will not affect negatively the community due to its size. We do not require sprinklers even, given the size of the Christian family, but we will install a private fire hydrant in the property. In our previous standard review question, we also proposed implementing the proper waste management system to prevent any unpleasant odors or disturbances for neighbors. And that was one of the concerns that they presented. Because one of the plans that we had was including a 30-yard dumpsters. However, after conducting the research and considering the potential impact on the neighborhood, we have revised our plan. Initially, we will only have a 30-yard dumpster in our premises during the construction of the church to exclusively handle construction debris and not organic material. This approach ensures that the construction debris will not generate bad odors or attract wildlife. Afterwards, we will take charge of hauling and disposing of the trash every week, following each Sunday service. Our dedication to our community and the well-being of its residents drive us to minimize any negative impact on the neighboring properties. In conclusion, we are committed to fostering a safe and harmonious environment for all residents. We are open to further discussion and are eager to collaborate with the Board of Commissioners to ensure the successful implementation of our project. We have talked to the Sheriff Department, Walton Sheriff Department. They state, the captain, he states that he knows the area. He is familiarized with Donut Drive, and he does not believe that this size of a church will drastically affect the traffic. He believes that we are going to experience an increase on the traffic, either or because the community is growing, but having this quantity of cars will not make a high impact on it. And really thank you for your time and for your consideration and for everybody here listening to me. I would like to pass the microphone to our sound engineer, David Lopez, who will explain how the soundproofing of the building will work. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose and Princess. I don't have a beautiful, eloquent speech like they do. I'm just going to speak from my heart. So, good evening, Board of Commissioners and local residents that are here. Pastors, good to see you as well. I'll introduce myself. I'm David Lopez, and I am the owner of David Lopez Productions here in Atlanta, Georgia. We are a local company that provides sound, video, and lighting assistance to different ministries as well as different corporations like Chick-fil-A, Coca-Cola. We also serve ministries like Compassion International and so forth, and fundraisers and things like that. But what I'm most proud of, my company started in the church. It started in the church, so I have a heart and a passion to serve the community and to serve the local church. And my biggest passion is to consult them in making wise decisions in reference to a lot of our equipment purchasing, making sure that they're stewarding the funds correctly and so forth, and in that area, and also helping them understand the impact of, acoustical panels and just the whole ordinance, following the city's ordinances as well. So that's the type of thing that I'm really strictly passionate. I'm really proud of. This is one of my proteges. I've been training him for a long time as far as sound. So it really does my heart proud to hear him speak about this, because my passion is to prepare folks like him to come behind, and younger people that have a heart not only for serving the Lord, but also for serving the community and in the area of what production is. And that's in, whatever the sound, lighting, and video. So I'm proud of him, and I could, think of him as a son, and I'm just glad to hear him speak so well about it. But like I said, I'm just going to speak from the heart, and what this church is different. I've been working with Pastor and FCG for a while, and there are other places that other locations. This is what sets them apart. The majority of churches that come my way, and I forgot to mention that I'm an elder at Perimeter Church in Johns Creek, and I've also served in local churches like Free Chapel and, Victory World Church and various others. But I think what sets this church apart is their pre-planning. Most churches come to me after the building is up, after everything's walls are in, and they come and they'll say, what can we do about sound? And like, well, we should have talked about this before we had framing going up and all of this. So now we got to come up, we got to tear walls down, we got to do stuff after the fact. They've been thinking about this for a while now, and we've been talking about different ideas of how to minimize that impact. And I'm going to have him come back up in a second, just because he actually is a professional in framing and some of the techniques that they're planning on using, which will increase some of their construction costs, but actually will have a great impact on reducing the noise. There's a staggered framing process that we've been talking about doing that, and also thicker drywall, and I'll let him speak more about that. And then that's in the interior, but then in the interior of the sanctuary as well, providing acoustical treatment within the inside. So it's almost like having a triple threat of keeping and containing sound within the room as much as possible. So that's what, for me, makes them different. Like I said, most churches, don't think about this till after the complaints and after the fact and after all these things have happened. So that, to me, shows that their impressiveness as far as communicating this to me and getting, these things in advance. And honestly, I knew about this event that their princess was talking about, that they had this celebration, and I want to take part of that blame, because they reached out to me, and I was in a peak travel season where, I was away from home for months at a time, and I wasn't able to serve them. I wasn't able to take their calls and so forth. I was just truly embedded at work.
David, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
We're here to decide if this zoning is going to be granted or not granted to build this church. I understand there've been noise complaints.
Right.
I understand. I'm a Christian and I'm not against the church.
I get
The issue here is a site that has been chosen that's at the end of a cul-de-sac in a residential area. And I understand you're trying to address some of the issues that was brought up in the planning, but basically we need to know, the size of the building you're proposing, which y'all had said 7,000 square feet, which is a large facility.
It is.
Can I come forward to give you guys
That would be something for us to look at.
Yes, so there are 2 pages in there. One is for the main house that is on the county, which are getting permits for the that is built on. The other one is a full, the other one is the full site plan for the whole property. And the third one, it should be the topographic survey, which shows the water flow.
The topography, yes. And we understand you're proposing to build this facility. That's what's his issue right now, whether this board grants the bill. The way it's built to be after and if it's approved, having the parking layout and addressing that is good. We do need to see that. And then there'll be questions from the board after the opposition makes comments, and y'all get to respond back to their direct comment.
Thank you.
But in the interest of saving some time tonight,
I agree.
the basics is what we're covering now, because if this board chooses to follow the recommendation of the Planning Commission, then it's an uphill battle. So we need to give both sides a fair hearing.
I agree.
And listen, and the site plan helps to answer a lot of questions as far as parking and layout.
May I comment something on this
Yes.
matter? So one of the things that you said at the beginning is the fact that the land that we're trying to build is off a cul-de-sac street of a residential area. There is a church, it's called St. Oliver Plunkett, that is 4.1 miles away. Its actual address is 3200 Brooks Drive in Snellville, Georgia. I understand it's a different county, but they are in a residential area, and they are also in a cul-de-sac. And it's also one way going, one way coming back. I just want you guys to take that into consideration.
I understand.
I was there on Sundays. I've been talking to the community. I've been taking videos, and there's no issues on traffic and any other areas. My point is that.
I understand that, appreciate that. And your congregation's here in favor of it. I understand that. In essence of time, are there any more important issues? You're going to address sound, you're going to address the parking, you're going to address all this if that's an issue. Traffic, we'll hear about the traffic because you are on a cul-de-sac down in a residential area. So, but this is what you want to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what we need to see right now, and then we'll hear from the opposition if that's okay.
Thank you so much for your help.
All right, thank you. And just for the record, those of you here in supporting this, just raise your hand so we know how much of the group is here in support of it. All right, thank you. All right, opposition, please come. And please do not repeat the same issues over and over. The board has dealt with these time and time again. And start off with your name and address, please.
All right, I am Christopher Diaz, and I live on 4945 Donald Drive. It's actually on the Gwinnett County side, and just a few houses down from these two properties that we're talking about today. I want to start off by saying this right here. In our neighborhood, that's a cul-de-sac, and I'll get into everything else I'm going to talk about in a second, but in our neighborhood, I'm glad they have a show of force and their church is supporting them. But there's only about 3 families that's actually supporting them in our neighborhood. So when you see a show of hands here of the people that's here, that's from their church in Lilburn, not from Donald Drive. I just wanted to point that out.
I understand that,
Yes,
too.
Okay, well, let me do a proper introduction. Good evening. I am Christopher Diaz, and I live at 4945 Donald Drive. My family moved to this property in May 2023, almost a year now. After serving 20 years in the United States Army and 13 years in Gwinnett County Public School System, we were hoping that our new property would be a quiet agricultural retirement home. And it is not so, and it has not been so, and I'll bring up some issues why. I'm not going to repeat some of the things that they said. Our main argument here is, let me back up, I'm sorry. While serving in the military in 2002, I received Jesus Christ as my Savior. This is not about religion. This is about zoning, okay? And matter of fact, there was one verse that as they were talking, I just wanted to put this out there, and there's a few things based on what they said that I want to address, if that's okay. And this is Mark 16:15, and he said, talking about Jesus, he said unto them, go. He didn't say come in here. He said, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Never said, come over here into this area right here. I just want to make sure I point that out. But I put a complaint in on the Gwinnett County side because of the excessive noise. That's where I believe I got the ball rolling there, where something happened. I got the ball rolling during their week-long camp. Let's see, because I don't want to repeat the same things. So I want to honor your time because I think that's important, because they went for a very long time. And they said a lot of nothing, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, okay? I want to honor your time. So, but they had a week-long camp. Let's see, and I got with planning development on the Gwinnett County side. They shut it down. They said, you can't do this, and so they come over to the Walton side. That's just my belief there. So why should we, and again, we heard everything already, so I'm not going to rehash it all again, but why should we even consider rezoning either one of these two properties? Because I'm just going to be open and honest and upfront. If you can't get it on this side, I know you're going to try to go to Gwinnett side. I'm going to go back over to Gwinnett County, and I'm going to talk to them and find out, can they do this again? Because I already did it one time, and they said no already. Personally, I don't want our quiet agricultural neighborhood to change into a noisy, high-traffic, commercial, noisy neighborhood. And everything that they were talking about with this one-traffic road, whoever heard of a police officer on a country road, that's what I believe we live on, coming down there to direct traffic? That shouldn't happen. That's not a quiet agricultural area. There's plenty of areas out there where you can go and you can get what you want to get. But again, it is my understanding that the property owners are church leaders at the FCG Church located at 550 Pleasant Hill Road in Little Bern, Georgia. And the last time we had this meeting right here, they said, I think it was Mr. Kemp from Planning and Development, and he said, he asked the best question of all, did you reach out to anybody in that community? And then they started naming Lawrenceville, Lilburn, all these other places outside, but not right there on Donald Drive or the surrounding areas. And I believe it was a young lady who's only 24 years old. I don't know why they would put this much pressure on a young lady, but anyway, I'll leave that alone. I don't understand why they would do that. And when he asked that question, she said no. We didn't reach out to anybody. So what they did in the last few days, and thank you for doing this, by the way, but it was after the fact, where you try to reach out and give a peace offering. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to receive your peace offering because I still don't disagree. I disagree with everything that you're trying to do in this little road. It's a small road. There's no way you can handle all this traffic coming up and down this road. And I don't know if you know it, that little hill where you come down, I don't know whose house it is, when you come down, you can't see nothing on the other side, and you're going to have traffic coming in. And I'm just going to be honest, you got some city traffic from Little Bern coming into a little small country town on Donald Drive. It's not going to work. People come in, they drive different. And actually, I told them this last time, I work in Little Bern, so I know the traffic in Little Bern. They drive crazy out there. And when they drive, anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. This is what I want to say. Again, I want to honor your time. I would deeply appreciate if this church would consider building it in another location, because I think what you're doing is wonderful. It's great. But not on Donald Drive. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. But consider in another location that is more suitable for them and for us. And this is Romans 13, 1 and 2. Just as something I'm going to leave you with. I did it last time. I want to say it again. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities. These are the governing authorities. You can't keep changing. Oh, we got to do that. We're going to change this now. Okay, now we're going to. You can't keep doing that. There's rules already in place. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. And this is, I believe, a Christian church, right? So you should believe what this says right here. And those that exist have been instituted by God. And this verse 2 is so wonderful, and I'll be finished right here. It says, therefore, whoever resists the authorities, because that's what it sounds like you're doing, well, we want, and you can come up here, and the perception is, everything is nice, everything's so wonderful, it's great. But guess what? That's a facade to me. I'm just saying. I'm from New York City. I talk like this. I'm sorry.
All right.
But here it is. I'm sorry. Therefore, whosoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. And that's what I have to say if you have any questions, sir.
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you very much. All right.
I'll keep mine real brief. Steve Golden, I live at 5049 Donald Drive. I'm a construction contractor, have been my whole life. I've been in thousands of subdivisions. And whether you like it or not, Donald Drive is a subdivision. They are estate lots. We don't have a fancy, expensive sign up front. We could call it Donald Estates if we wanted to. We don't have a homeowners association because we've never needed one. This is a subdivision. I've never seen a church built or any other commercial endeavor in a subdivision, ever. You wouldn't allow a convenience store to go in there, would you? You wouldn't allow a liquor store. You wouldn't allow a dry cleaners, okay, because it doesn't fit the neighborhood, period. Nothing against their church. It doesn't fit the neighborhood. And if you don't think it affects property values, you're kidding yourself. Okay? You are kidding yourself terribly. That little subdivision is great, just like it is. I don't want to tell you to do what you do with your land or your property, okay? But how it affects everyone else matters tremendously. And if this council approves this, you will set a precedence that is unheard of, okay, of allowing something such as this in a subdivision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please.
Yes, I'm Ernest Block, 5030 Donald Drive. I've been there 24 years. Half of our street, 24 people signed the petition out of 26 houses. Half the street is retired like me. We don't work, we're there, we see what's going on daily. And it's just been a nightmare lately. The road's a mile long, dead end. It's not really a cul-de-sac. I have the only fire hydrant on the street. So if there's something happens, there's nothing on the street, and there's no police going to come take care of traffic because there's only one way in, one way out. So the church can be built anywhere, but why there? I mean, there's more youth camp and things that they're not telling you about, you know. And then they said there's not going to be noise. So what do you need supersonic insulation and all for if you're not going to have noise? What do you need all that special stuff for? So it's just everybody on the street is just upset because it's quiet. There was a heart attack a lady had, then the street was shut down because of a fire truck. Last week, drug enforcement pulled a car over Thompson Road on Donald Drive. There were 7 cop cars there, Rockdale County, Walton County, sheriffs, everybody. The whole street was shut down. So if there's anything trying to go on, it's just going to be a nightmare. So.
All right.
I just want to speak my point.
All right, thank you. Please.
My name's Terry Cawthorn. I live at 4979 Donald Drive. My house adjoins their house. It's right next door to it. Not only, they talk about the traffic and all. I mean, it's weekends, kids are playing. We got kids playing in the streets. I mean, it's a cul-de-sac. And that's when my grandkids and all were over there. It don't make no sense, and if they don't think that building a parking lot right next door to my house, where when you turn off of Thompson onto Donald Drive, I mean, you have the feel of being in the country. I've lived there for 19 years, and putting that parking lot right next to my house is going to decrease the value of my house. Nobody's going to buy my house. My grandkids coming over, playing there, right there at the street and in the street, and cars coming in and out.
I understand.
I'm all for them, preaching the gospel and building this church, but please build it somewhere where it's already zoned for this and not in a neighborhood.
All right.
All I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're on the left before the property.
Yeah, their property's here, and mine is on Drive next to it.
Okay. All right. There'll be one more after you.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Richards, and I live at 869 Spring Oak Court in Loganville, directly behind the property in question. Our property line is 80 feet from those buildings. And, you know, they talk about joining the two buildings with a roof over it. We're talking about my backyard. They talk about 80 cars coming, staggering times. So I'm going to be listening to car doors slamming from, what was it, 10 to 4, something like that. It's just too much for a residential area.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else would like to speak in opposition? Please come forward. If you got something different than what we've heard, please come forward. You still want to speak your piece, that's fine. That's what we're here for.
I'm like most of I'm Walter Keith Massey. I live at 5179 Donald Drive. My family moved there some 50 years ago, and we were the first family on Donald Drive. And up to this point, we've maintained a quiet neighborhood. The only thing that I can add is the traffic off Thompson Road to Donald Drive. Some mornings you sit there 10 or 15 minutes trying to get out on Georgia 20 to go to work. And there's a tremendous amount of traffic on Thompson Road because people use it to cut around Loganville. They figured out the shortcut there to avoid the traffic. So now we got that traffic, and adding any more just makes no sense at all to me. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. All right, any more opposition? Got it? Anything to say? We've covered a good little bit. I'm going to give the applicant a chance to address the opposition's comments one more time briefly, please, because I'm sorry.
Is it okay if our right next door neighbor at Donald Drive expresses something?
That being old, you're speaking too soft. You're going to have to holler at the old man.
If our next door neighbor expresses something?
Next door neighbor, you want to speak it?
Oh, yeah, the next door neighbor can express something in favor. I apologize.
Hi, good evening. Good evening to all. Good evening, neighbors. The reason I want to express myself in Spanish is so that they also understand. I am the neighbor right next to this property. I have lived in this property for 19 years. I have gotten well with everyone there. When they arrived, I believed I was blessed. As the purpose of these people is just to unite families, help the youth. I have grandchildren. They play in my property. And I would want one day so that the families of these people, of my neighbors, they can actually go to that church. The Highway 78 is actually more congested than what this road will be. I am 66 years old, and it does not bother me that the kids play next door to me. I welcome them, and I told them that whatever they needed, I am here to serve. And it's the same thing that I would do for my neighbors. It is my opinion. I don't want my neighbors to take this as I'm against them, but it's my heart that's allowing me to speak this way. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
We know this community is very concerned about the noise like one of the residents said, the cars being slammed, the traffic, and the fact that it's in a one way in, one way out road. But there are solutions for this, and we have presented them. We are not going to cause congestion. We're not causing congestion. There's going to be cars that are going to come in, they're going to stay in the land, in our land, and then they're going to move out. They're going to come out at a certain time. There's not going to be all day, every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, cars coming into the road. This is intended to be a family place. We have reached out to different neighbors to try to explain this to them, that we're not going to cause a congestion, that we're not going to cause unnecessary sound. One of them complained and told us that there's gunshots during the night. There's other sounds in the neighborhood that they're not talking about. And I don't know how cars being closed, not slammed, because we don't slam cars unless we're like very angry. Cars being shut is going to be a problem for our neighbors. That should not cause as much noise. It's at a certain time. There's going to be no noise. The only thing we have inside that we're going to have inside the building would be worship and the teaching that we give. It should not go chaotic. I guess everyone, since we had the youth retreat there, that again, we're not going to do again. We're not going to host it there anymore. I guess they think that that's what's going to happen every Sunday, and we can guarantee that's not going to happen. We are going to go into the land, invite our community. Jesus did not only talk, but he acted upon. It's not just about going out to different, it's easy for me to go to church and preach there, but it's also, what about the families that are around? I met some families that are in need of attention, that are in need of
We're talking about this particular site in this particular neighborhood. Let me ask this question. Has this congregation looked at other sites that may be more suitable than in a residential setting like this?
Yes, we have. The previous owner is Pedro Romero. Like, I'm not sure if this is okay for me to say, if you can please grant me some time, but it was kind of a miracle. He had like a dream.
He gifted the land to the church.
And so he, for this purpose, he knew the need that this community had. Again, I don't want to point out certain things that might get other community members in trouble, but there's things that need attention. And that's why we're not the type to just get together just a Sunday, but we have, in our homes, we have different Bible studies. We speak to the children, to the youth, and that's what we want to do in this community.
Understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Does the board have any questions of the applicant?
He would like to add one thing.
I would like to add some stuff about the comments that our neighbors established.
Please.
We spoke with Mr. Diaz probably a few weeks ago. I want to state it was not a week-long camp. It was a weekend. It would start on Friday. We finished Sunday morning. Second, Mr. Diaz, you expressed to us that, the quietness, and we understand that, and we have complied to you about that, and we have taken into consideration all these measurements to make sure it's quiet. But you have, we were there 3 days that time, and then 4th of July. Out of the whole year, there have been other stuff that perturb or that disrupt that quietness in the neighborhood. That you also state to us, Mr. Diaz. Driving crazy, there are many stuff that we have not done there. I understand that maybe your understanding of the city of Lilburn, but it's not what we do in our congregation. It's not what we do as people. We follow the laws. We try to make sure everything is according to the law. That's why we are here. We understand our authorities, and that's why we are here in front of you guys, to understand and to comply to whatever decision is taken today. The neighbor on our left side, 4979, I spoke to your son the other day, Colt. we actually established a good relationship for a few minutes. I explained him the plans that we have and the ideas of probably having a playground for your grandsons to play in there. He loved the idea. He said he would like to, I told him that, we would like to get to know each other. And lastly, I want to establish, we are not here to be your enemies. We are here to become your neighbors. Like it or not, we're going to still be neighbors after this is over. It doesn't matter what the decision is for the board. After that, we're still going to be here. We're still going to be neighbors, and we're still going to be able to see you several times a week, several times a month, because we own this property, thanks to God.
Understand.
And we want to be good neighbors, and we want to still provide a good relationship with all the community. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you. For the record, I had someone check the water lines on Donald Drive. Donald Drive only has a 2-inch water line supplying the homes in there. That will not support a fire hydrant or a fire coverage for something like this, and that wasn't brought up here in this meeting. And that may be a shock to y'all, too. I just got a text on that.
We have 2 wells in the property.
Well, if you're having a meeting place with, a lot of people there needs to be some sort of fire coverage available in that area. Donald Drive, my understanding, was done years ago, and a 2-inch line run off of a main was pretty common in some of these small ones. But I think we've heard what y'all want to do. We've heard the opposition. The board has reviewed it. I'm going to ask the board for discussion, close the public hearing, because you've addressed the traffic, you've addressed your neighbors' concerns, and because we do have other items on the agenda tonight, too. But I'm going to close the public hearing unless the board's got some specific questions while y'all are up here. You don't have any? All right. I'll entertain a motion from the board on this conditional use.
This is it's a very hard decision because everybody on this board is a Christian and we all go to church. And we have nothing against, I have nothing against anybody, nor does anybody on this board. We're all for church, but this is not the right spot. The road's too narrow. If y'all find a suitable place, then you can bring it back, we'll pass it. But with a sad, heavy heart, I'll make the motion to deny this zoning.
Accept the denial.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous. Please, no clapping. Thank you. It's generally noisy when people exit. If you're here just for this particular zoning and would like to leave, we'll give you a 3 or 4 minute time to leave. And if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome. Recommend, I understand what y'all are doing, but understand that is in a residential area. I understand what the board was going after. But, and if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to. All right, we'll move right on, Sharna, with the second item you have here.
Yes, sir. Okay, the second was 5.2, approval with conditions of a conditional use to 4010025. This is for outside storage and a variance to reduce the transitional buffer from 50 foot to 10 foot. Applicant is Mullins and Kellis LLC. The owner is LKEQ LCC. Property is located at L&P Parkway. This is in District 5. It states on here this was recommended for approval with conditions to reduce the transitional buffer to 20 as is, or to 15 foot, and plant trees per direction of Walton County Planning and Development. So as I pretty much stated, the property owner has a landscape business that they would like to move to this site. The property is already zoned B2. They just need a conditional use for the outside storage, and they are seeking that variance. There was no one in opposition, and the Planning Commission did recommend approval to either, with a condition that they either, like she said on here, reduce the transitional buffer to 20 foot on the rear and leave it completely undisturbed, or to reduce it to 15 foot and let the planning and development give guidance as to what type of evergreen trees to plant within the buffer. Let me change this map to the, so you can see this property. So the transitional buffer that they want waived, let me move this, is along this back line right here. Because everything else around there is commercial. So it's just on that back line abutting that little strip.
Okay. And as the applicant here wants to tell us, I'll open a public hearing on this one. Please come forward and tell us what you want to do.
My name is Wayne Kellis, and I just want to find a place to run my business out of. We have a groundskeeping, landscaping business, so we have actually purchased this lot since we made application. And we're going to put an office and warehouse with some gravel and fencing. And we just need a place to store trucks and trailers, the normal kind of equipment that you use in a groundskeeping business.
And you're okay with the 20-foot as is or 15-foot and plant the trees?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here in favor of this would like to speak? If not, I'll ask, is there anyone here in opposition to this that would like to come forward and speak? Seeing no opposition, I'll close the public hearing and ask the board what their pleasure is.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve following the planning and zoning recommendations.
You got a motion to approve?
I'll second.
We have a second.
Follow their recommendations, yes, sir.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimous. All right, we got your capital improvements annual update and transmittal public hearing, and that's on our impact fees.
Yes, sir. That's just the annual report that we have to send in, what's been collected, what's been spent.
And what's been spent, and the listing is in your packet on the internet. Does anyone here have any public interest or would like to ask a question on how the county's spending their impact fees and the different projects your tax dollars are going to? Well, we had a public hearing, and we will close that and file the report with the state. Resolution to de-annex certain real property. Oh, we need a motion?
I would go ahead, yes, sir.
Okay, we need a motion on to accept the capital improvements.
So moved.
Resolution.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous. And now we have a tract of property on Highway 78 that The applicant is wanting de-annexed out of the city of Monroe.
Yes, sir. We're going to get this pulled up so that you can see the location. The process is they have to come here. We have to send a resolution to the city if the board is in favor of accepting this annexation. They were advised by the city of Monroe to come here. They want to rezone the property to commercial for landscaping. And it's this little piece. Can you get that?
It's below John Redding's.
Right, that's it right there. Will you put the
I
zone?
looked it up. If you're going toward Loganville, it's on the left before you get to John Redding's office.
So you talking about Farm Bureau?
Right.
Is that the track coming back toward Monroe?
It is, yes.
Back
Yeah.
toward Monroe.
The Farm Bureau is over here, this
Yep.
B.
I didn't know it was in the
and then a
city to
B2,
begin
and then the
with.
A1,
I
and
didn't know
then-
they stretched that far.
Right. I think the gentleman is here, I'm not sure, but he said he would be here. But this is just like the first step that the board has to adopt the resolution.
Well, anybody want to ask, this board be happy to suggest they de-annex it, so.
Okay.
And we put something in the resolution to make it clear that you're consenting to that subject to a zoning being established in the county. So you would
So we'll have to,
you'll have to establish a zoning if it gets de-annexed, since it's currently zoned in the city.
and what is it zoned in the city?
Either way, you'll need to establish whatever zoning you think is appropriate.
We would zone it the same as the property adjoining it, I would think.
Well, the properties adjoining actually are agriculture. If you,
If you want to come forward and make a statement, please do.
The whole point is it would need to go through a zoning process.
Yeah.
For,
So you've got a B2 over here on the other side of this A1, and then a B1, and then you've got commercial across the road on 78 right here. All these over here are zoned commercial, and then this is commercial, but then right here, he's kind of surrounded by A1 in that little area right there.
it's just because they hadn't asked for
Right.
commercial.
David, can we hold up 1 second? Do y'all want to leave? Y'all can leave.
If y'all want to leave, we'll take a break and
Yeah.
allow y'all. I know this is boring, and Phil, I want to thank everyone for coming, and
Is that the last thing
you know, I think the city's reached out to this track behind John Redding. They grab everything out there.
Yeah.
The one below us here goes all the way to Row Road.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
I think the one. Across the street, is that what's going in the city?
Yeah, and that's conservancy land now. You know, it's on commercial.
But it will help.
Can't ever be built commercial.
Yeah, that's it, buddy.
Put it in a nightclub. There you are.
No, it does not. There's another, yeah, it comes to a point here. it is right here. Yeah, and this
What's the
across
name of the
over
business?
here,
Performance
then the
Services
conservancy,
LLC.
it can't ever be built on. That they say
Hey, with these storms coming, you might be busier than you
B-
expect to be.
Yeah.
You stay pretty, it's amazing. There's
Yeah, on
quite
the
a
other
few
side of the river.
tree services,
Yeah.
but it is just amazing how busy everybody stays.
Yeah, because I do retention ponds too, restorations.
I need your contact information.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're quiet enough to
Some plans for detention.
proceed once the attorney quits weighing one side
Love to.
against the other.
That's the scales of justice, right? You see that?
And you're wanting this out of the city limits?
Yes, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, when I purchased the property, by the way, I'm Jose Lemus. I purchased the property and from a church, and I was under the impression that it was in Walton County because everything surrounding around the area is
Okay.
Walton County. But you know, when I started the process, I went to did the
So if
merger.
we de-annex it, we have to assign a zoning to it, right?
That's correct.
Well, that's what.
But he'll have to go through the zoning
Process.
process.
Process that'll have to get a zoning, because you don't want it to be in no man's land and not zoned at all.
Well, that's kind of how what it is right now with the city of Monroe. My understanding is that whoever used to own the parcel across the street used to own the 9.5 acres as well. And whenever they were doing the paperwork, they split it, and they never told the city of Monroe the purpose of the piece of land. So when I purchased it, I was the impression that I can kind of like, go through the right steps and make it commercial, but that was not the case. So the gentleman at City of Monroe, he kind of explained to me, in order for me to do anything with the land, I would have to de-annex from Monroe, annex to Walton, then apply for whatever application I wanted to do in the property. So that's kind of how we get in the ball rolling slowly.
And we just wanted to make clear in our consent, right, if you approve if you consent to a de-annexation, that you're doing so subject to
You making application for zoning, whatever you might want to do with.
Commercial, yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
But that decision will be made at that time. It's not,
And not this time.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
consent to de-annexing, then you make application, once the city de-annexes to us, you make application of zoning for your commercial or whatever use you want to do on that property.
There you go.
Okay.
And the people before me, they want to put a church too, so I'm just kidding.
Churches are very popular tonight. We will, I don't mind making a motion to proceed with the resolution consenting to de-annex this particular piece of property.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimous. All right, Shane, you're up finally.
You ready to stay or can I go?
Sir, you can go. This,
No. It's just across the street, right that way.
thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the board. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
We've got two items on the agenda for your consideration tonight. One being the renewal of the service contract with the Development Authority to continue contracting with us to provide economic development services for the citizens of Walton County. And we also have on here a formal lease for the current building that we're in. In the past, both of these documents were sort of combined in the contract. We separated them because in the renovation that took place almost 2 years ago now, the Development Authority spent about $500,000 of non-taxpayer money renovating that facility. And so we felt like, since we had such a large investment, it might be a good idea to have a separate lease with the county on that building. So we've separated the two. With that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions or concerns or comments from the board.
Your service contract renewal, it is same price or less than what the previous contract is?
Yes, the contract renewal is less than our current budget that we receive from the county. And the reason I put that lesser amount in there is, say, for example, we have a downturn in the economy, that's our minimum operating amount that we can continue doing what we do. We obviously would have to cut back like the county would if there was no funds, but that would allow us to keep our staff in place, and if we had to, we would do what we need to do. The only other comment I'd like to make is that it does have in there July. We currently are without a contract. You can vote to approve that and make it effective tonight if you wanted to. It's your decision.
And the only other thing, we're talking about the contract renewal right now. The lease, you did spend if I remember correctly, $87,000 renovating the building behind here. The Development Authority footed that bill on our building, but they got a brand-new building, and we've agreed to lease it to them for $1 a year in this lease agreement, since they're providing a service to the county. Any other questions on these? Entertain a motion to do the service contract renewal first.
Hold on, Chairman, you got a question.
No public questions on this. This is board business. This is not an open public discussion. The board can ask questions.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second.
Can you clarify the date that you'd like it to become effective? Would it either be July or today?
Would
That's the
today be better?
That's the only lingering question.
I make a motion for it to be today.
And the second still stands.
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, and on the lease agreement, need to entertain if you remember, this is a building that was to be tore down, and a $7,800,000 building built back. And for this $487,000, we saved the taxpayers the cost of doing that. And the Development Authority spent that money remodeling the county's building so they'd have a place to lease. And it's $1 a year under this present lease until we figured they've used up what they spent.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous.
Thank you.
We
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
You have before you the administrative consent agenda. Any questions, any items on it that anyone has any particular questions about? If not, entertain a motion to approve the administrative consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous. All right, we had to bill our auditing services, and Milton has the recommendation from the Finance Department.
Yes. Good evening. It's good to see you. As required in the county's auditing policy, every 6 years we're to put out an RFP for services. We did that this year. It's been 6 years since the last one. And the evaluation team looked at the proposals that were given to us, and Malden and Jenkins is still the choice as the best auditing firm for the county. So we are respectfully recommending Malden and Jenkins. It'll be for the current year, and then 5 more years, and then in 6 more years we'll do.
So this will be for 6 years?
Yes, sir.
And recommending renewing with Malden and Jenkins.
Yes, sir.
They were the lowest bidder.
They were.
And they have more depth than some of the other firms. All right, entertain a motion to.
Question. How much was that for? Because it's not shown here. Is there a cost?
I've got it. It graduates each year.
It does graduate each year?
Got it. Would you like to look at the booklet I have here?
I mean, not really.
Just pull out the price. I think that'll
Yeah, hold on one second.
suffice.
But it graduates every year until the contract is done?
Sir?
It graduates every year until the contract's done?
It does.
And
It
it's-
goes up, well, the first 2 years, can I say the price?
Yeah.
Not 97,000.
Okay.
And then the third year, 102. The fifth year, 107. Sixth year, 112. And the last year, 117, which is less than this past audit.
The 117 is less than our past
Well, we just
year
got-
that we
just got
paid.
finished.
That's great.
so They went down a little.
That's good.
They sharpened their pencil, and at the same time, I think that with other transitions, that it would be helpful to keep the same auditing team. They've done a good job.
All right. Entertain, we had a motion and a second, didn't we? I need a motion to accept Marlon Jenkins.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes. Unanimous. John, you ain't gonna sleep on us, have you?
If anything, just taking a nap before the storm, right?
You have good news on the milling, deep milling and patching too, don't you?
Yes, sir. This is just us asking that you accept, that y'all accept the low bid up from Pittman Construction on our annual milling and deep patching project. Yeah, we had good news. It stayed about the same from last year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes. Unanimous.
Thank you.
And Hank, you got us a bid on surveillance system?
Yes, sir.
Oak Park?
Yes, sir. We advertised the RFP and received them back, and I'm asking that you accept the proposal from Harcom Data Services in the amount of $57,196.
And this is fully compatible with the new system
Yes,
that
yes, sir.
is going to be in all the county facilities?
Yes, sir. That's our plan.
Okay. Entertain a motion on facilities recommendation.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. I'll second to go ahead and get the vote. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous. Thank you. I just want to make a quick note before our county manager takes the scene. He's real good with his reports. The report I handed y'all last month was listing our, and I'll find it in this mess here in a minute, listing all of our grants, and here it is, I got it. And I just want to make a note. We were right at $150 million in grants and rebates and wellness rebates and worker comp kickbacks. I shouldn't say kickback, but worker comp, unclaimed property. In the last 30 days, this county has received an additional $1,819,000 in more grants and opioid settlements and COVID mitigation grants. We're doing a phenomenal job in seeking and getting additional revenue for these costly projects, and it's going to show up on your tax bills as we move forward. So just wanted the board to be aware that in 30 days, an additional $1,819,000 came in. And with that, I'll turn it over to our county manager for his report.
Okay, I've got just a couple. One of the largest components of that was that Governor Kemp and the legislature set aside $200 million in additional road funds that are collected in the form of gas taxes. The share that was provided to Walton County, and this uses what's considered an LMIG formula, which is a state formula that takes into account the number of road miles that we maintained, both paved and gravel on all public roads. And our share of that was $1.4 million. The good news is that all other municipal jurisdictions within Walton County also receive some of that. So as we partner in our service delivery agreements, they'll also have a little bit more to put towards road projects, and oftentimes John and Public Works help facilitate those. I know that we've done a good bit of paving in all of the different communities across Walton County. As we move forward with that, at Ozora Church Road, we were successful after some unfortunate accidents on getting the DOT to partner with us on putting a temporary signal there as they come forward with a roundabout intersection improvement. One of the other things that we're going have reached out to is also due to the number of accidents at Youth Monroe and Highway 78. We have been in discussions with DOT, and we will be scheduling public meetings in the near future to share and to gain public input on the local side of improvements that are needed in order to further partner with DOT to place a potential signal at Youth Monroe. Hopefully that local projects will facilitate that signal and be able to get those implemented so that we can save some additional lives in that area. The local projects being contemplated are going to impact the terminus of HD ATHA at that small staging area there as you pull off of 78 onto Youth Monroe, as well as further putting a 90-degree angle in it at New Salem, is it Salem Church? Sardis Church, at Sardis Church Road. But we are going to be reaching out to the neighbors, local businesses in that area with public meetings as we move forward. Two other items that are hot topics that keep coming in is complaints for junk vehicles and maintenance of detention ponds in neighborhoods. We will be bringing back some additional information through code enforcement on a game plan for addressing those junk vehicles. That will also include working with the courts on preparing for enhanced enforcement of that. And then on the stormwater detention side, we'll be bringing back some different options for the commission to consider. Most of the ones that we're getting the complaints on are in subdivisions where the HOA, the Homeowners Association, has become defunct, and there's no longer a collective group taking care of that joint facility. So we're going to be evaluating some different things. We'll get input from the county attorney and bring some of those different options back for you. The other thing I wanted to share with you that we're doing an improvement countywide on, and this impacts every single employee. Currently right now, or in the past, the county updated and provided direct deposit for salaries and payments and different things like that. But we still print out a paper copy of the deposit slip, and then those are routed and delivered to each department to be passed out. There's, I'm sure, a ton of requests for additional printouts of W-2s, as well as when employees are submitting their timesheet, there's a lot of questions about leave, both accumulated vacation and sick time, as those are being drawn for employee use. Want to compliment both the finance department on getting this implemented. It was a feature that we had that we're now going to be rolling out in April that will allow for employees to have direct access via their own code They'll be able to access every bit of that online in real time, be able to get quarterly as well as yearly statements. And another important feature there is they will be able to provide updated contact information such as their address, dependents, and/or their emergency contact information in case anybody does become injured on the job and we need to reach out to family. So we'll have a new updated feature there, providing that across the entire county. Also, we have been redesignated as a storm-ready community. EMA was able to obtain that designation, and I guess it doesn't come too soon because tonight we are expecting storms, so just want to give everybody a heads up about that. Staff are on call, ready to respond on any situations that we need tonight, and EMA will also be monitoring the weather as we head into some of the potential tornadic activity tonight. With that, that concludes the update I have for you tonight.
Thank you. Any questions from
I
the
do.
county manager?
Hey, John, good job on the report. What kind of time frame are you thinking on the stormwater issues and some of the stuff? Because that's something that's like, it's more and more of a hot topic.
My game plan is to bring that back within, we're going to have to do some research because we obviously want to bring forward something that can be approved. So I'm thinking within the next 30 to 45 days, we'll have some recommendations that we can bring forward and actually start addressing some of the situations that we're finding. And I believe it's becoming more of a topic just because of the lack of maintenance in some of the subdivisions, as well as it's mosquito season that we're entering into, and people are becoming concerned.
So you're thinking pretty soon we're going to be a storm ready now, but stormwater ready within 45 to 60 days? Is that what you're?
We'll be more stormwater ready than we are now.
No. No.
That's it.
All right, any other questions of John? No one signed up for public comment. The only announcement that we have is that there will be a groundbreaking ceremony at the Grove Park, April the 19th at 11 o'clock.
Did we ever get those other two properties appraised?
Mm-mm. The little out parcels, no. But this will be for the community center, softball fields, the park that we've been working on so long. Groundbreaking will be Friday, April the 19th at the site at 11 o'clock. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the lady in the back here, I'm not sure if she had a question or if she wanted to make a comment, but.
No.
I'm not sure if that's a question or.
That is not a public question after the contract's been presented. The contract was published when we published the agenda. You could have read it.
I did. I understand, but typically when I see the rezoning request, the public has a chance to ask.
Well, this is not a rezoning. This is Development Authority, which doesn't fall under the public comment.
So what would then the proper protocol if I had a question in a public forum to address that? Just moving forward, so I know.
I would have to ask council because the public is not allowed on regular county business to interrupt and start asking questions. You've already elected your officials to make your decisions for you. You can't open up every item that comes before the Board of Commissioners for public comment. We would never get done. You've elected your officials to represent you and ask questions, and they're representing a district of 17,000 people, and there's 6 districts, 103,000 of us, and you can reach out to your district commissioner and ask him to ask questions, but we're not going to bog down a public meeting that we're doing county business unless the law requires us to take public comment. And under the zoning, the law requires us to have the opposition and the proponent get up and state why they're wanting to do it, and the opposition has a right to state why they don't want to do it, and then it falls back on this board to make a decision for the public.
Who's your representative, young lady? You are. I am. So, I mean, you can get, or you can get in touch with us, phone, email. Be happy to ask any questions that you know.
Okay, so moving forward, just want to, anything that is not a rezone request, that's how we have to.
And it's like John said, we're fixing to hold public meeting on Youth Monroe. Youth Monroe Road. That road, we've had 3 deaths in the last 9 months at that intersection. DOT will not move. The county has decided to move. And we're going to have a public hearing, get comments, and we're going to move hastily. I've pushing the board, we're going to do something with that intersection before somebody else gets killed there. We're not going to discuss it for 10 months in public comments. We're going to address the concerns and do something about it. So, and that will be taking place in 2 weeks. DOT has not been favorable in responses with us so far on this intersection. We've built up our general fund. We have the funds to address it ourselves, and we're going to move forward and do it as fast as we can. And we will take public comments. It's going to be an inconvenience for a lot of people that live in that area. They're going to have to go another 150 yards down the road and take a left on Sardis Church to get back to HD 8th. But if it saves one life, that's what we're going to do. But as far as questioning everything this board does in our board meetings, that I'm not going to allow. We'll do it on other things, but no board can operate that way. You go through your commissioner if you have questions about a particular issue. That's what you elect them for.
The agenda's posted Thursday before, so you can read it.
Do what?
The agenda is posted the Thursday night before the meeting.
Yeah, we post the agenda Thursday night, a week before the meeting, with all the attachments. And, but that's the process we operate under, the process I inherited. So, are there any other announcements that the public need to be aware of? There is no executive session. Entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? We are now adjourned.